So we're going to start with our configuring our piping settings and making sure that we're ready to do this. Now, some of the settings that I'm about to perform in that exercise are almost unnecessary if you have a template that is going to be already preset with all those settings and everything. We're going to add our sanitary fixtures to our restrooms. We're going to create sanitary system and piping, add sinks and the systems for that, and piping. We're going to create our cold water system and a hot water system. And we're also going to look at creating views and sheets for our work and being able to add those to our sheet and tag those views so that we have a sheet ready to go and send out to the architect. So let's begin. So here we are in Revit MEP 2010, and first thing we want to do is to make sure that we have the proper system families, and more specifically pipe families. And pipes are a system family that we need to create in Revit projects. We don't load these in here, so we go to our families from our project browser, and we right click and go to properties and duplicate any ones that are there to create additional types of pipes. So for instance, we're going to create a vent pipe here, and we just rename that. And now after we gave it the proper name, we're going to define some of the parameters here as regarding the type of elbows, T's. For instance, for the T, we have a actual vent T, so we're going to use that one instead for the vent. And also for the cross, we have a vent. And all of these fittings are in our project for us to be able to select. If you don't have the fittings loaded into your project, you're not going to have them available there. We can also assign cost to this pipe if we want to, a type mark to really define and schedule it if we wanted to. Some people may use a V for vent, but cost would be really powerful if you consider adding a cost there, tracking how much all the pipe's going to cost your project. And because it's Revit is also data managing system, it allows us to be able to actually track all that information. Now that we've done that, we're going to also load some additional families into our project to make sure that we have all the components necessary. So we're going to load our P-trap. And now we're going to have that available in our families fittings. So if we go to our project browser, and well, let's cancel that. Go to our project browser, we're going to go ahead and look at our pipe fittings, and you'll notice that the P-trap now is located in our project, so we have that available for us to use later on. Now we're going to look at the mechanical settings for this. We're going to make sure that we add a few things here. One thing we're going to do is look at our piping to make sure that our systems are correct. Now this is a Revit standard that they have the diameter symbol for pipes and sizes, which I think that's ridiculous, but always have to turn that off. So for our pipe settings for our sanitary systems, we're going to select what type of pipe, which is a sanitary pipe, and what the offset, and these are default settings that are going to be used by Revit when we do things like layout piping and such, just so that they know exactly what type of pipe does that particular system have. And we're putting in an offset of just -4 feet there. And then we're going to go ahead and modify and add some more sizes here. Now this is also the place where you define the type of pipes and materials that you're using for your project. For instance, right now we're going to modify the plastic category, and we're going to add a size here. Now it's important to know that in order for us to actually change the inside diameter and outside diameter, you want to make sure that you do it right here. After you click OK and add the additional pipe sizes, you're not going to be able to modify it in the list, so you'd have to delete it and then come back. It's a little bit of annoying. But so for instance, I can't double click there and edit that. I'd have to actually delete that. Now let's go ahead and look at our pipes that we created. So it looks like we have our vent pipe there, and the new size that we created as well is in our project. So that looks pretty good. I think we're ready to go. So we started our project by configuring some of the pipe settings. Now let's go ahead and add some sanitary fixtures. So here we have two views open. One is a 3D view, which I always like to keep open to keep an eye on what things are looking like and how they're actually being modeled together. And we're going to add a wall mounted fixture. Now notice that we have the no, or the circle with the line through it, which says no, you can't place that over there because this is a wall mounted fixture. Notice that we have to put it on a face. We have to put it on a vertical face. And we're going to use these guidelines here to actually just locate these fixtures. And just eyeballing them, and all I'm doing is just clicking as I get closer to the wall as I hover over there. Now we're going to add a urinal there. We're going to add a 3/4 inch flush valve urinal. Same thing, just hover over the wall and then just left click and it's in. Just like that. Now we're going to look at adding a floor drain, and this floor drain needs to go on the floor. So you'll notice that I can't place it right there because I still have the placement selection to vertical face. So we want to make sure that we change it to place on face instead of vertical face. And now it allows us to actually place this right in there. So now that we have our fittings here all together, let's just click on modify and look at our fittings to make sure that everything is looking good. Yep, there they are. Excellent. So now that we have our fixtures in, just at least the sanitary ones that we want to use, we're going to just window everything. And first, let's identify, okay, so this is space 107, restroom 107. And we need that information to be able to create a system name properly. So windowing everything and then using the filter, we're going to unselect everything except for the plumbing fixtures. I'm going to click OK. So now that we only have this plumbing fixtures, we have some options in our ribbon for the sanitary. So we're going to click on sanitary system to create that. And we're going to go ahead and edit the system. And you notice the red lines showing us diagrammatical representation of the pipes between the fixtures. So we're going to name this 107, just a way to keep track of our systems based on room names or numbers. You may use different methods and such, but it's always good to organize them. So now that we have our system in place, what we're going to do is add some pipes to this. We're going to use the generate layout tool. We're going to just select any fixture in our system and click that. Because this fixture has more than one connector, then we have to select which system or connector do we want to use to lay out the pipe for. So the sanitary, of course, and now the sanitary doesn't have a pump in this case especially and so we're going to need to tell the pipe where to go to. So we're going to place a base there. That's what the base allows us to do, to actually let the layout follow and go to a particular place. We define the size of the base as far as the diameter of that pipe to a 4-inch, and we're going to put an offset there for -4 feet. Now we have to click back on solution to go back to our solutions available for this layout. And as you can see, we have network, perimeter, and intersections available for the types of solutions we have. We're going to go with intersection. And before we go browsing through this ones we want to look at the settings here and make sure that our settings are correct. We're going to deviate from the default. Instead of 4 feet negative below level, we're going to go with 1 foot below level. And as you can see, it's the sanitary pipe that's being used because it's a sanitary system defined by our settings earlier. Also in the option bar, we're going to set our slope there to 1/8 of an inch by foot. And after we have the settings, we're going to look at the available solutions here. This one looks pretty good. I'm going to stick with it. As you can see, though, the pipe is located on the wall, so we want to just take that over here, move it over. To do that, we have to click on Modify, and in this case, Modify does mean modify, allowing you to select something and modify it. So we select the line, and we have to click and hold right on those arrows and drag over and align it with our base. That looks pretty good. I think that looks like a straight line, and if you're looking at the 3D view, you notice that the lines are running pretty good there. So we're going to just go ahead and click on Finish to finish this layout. There we go. So with all our settings correct, because we identified what we need and what the space we have available, now let's look at the 3D view and verify that the slope worked correctly for us. Excellent. So it's sloping down towards the base in the right direction. Let's look on the side to make sure that, yep, there it is. The floor drain also is sloping perfectly to the pipe. Excellent. So that's pretty good. So we were able to create our sanitary system and add some piping using the layout tool. Let's go ahead and add some sinks to this and do a little bit more manual pipe work here. So here we are, we're going to add some more fixtures to our project, and from the type selector we're going to select the lavatory 22 by 22. Same way we're going to align them with the guidelines that we have available. And now that we have added it to our project, we're going to have to add it to our system. Now, the way that the new 2010 system editing works is if a fixture has already been added to a system, like this urinal we just selected, we have to click on the Piping System tab to get back to the system, and then we have access to edit the system. There's other ways to get to it, but that's one way. So we're going to go ahead and edit that and add to our system, to our sanitary system to be more precise, and we're going to add those fixtures by just clicking and selecting those. Go ahead and finish that selection and system. And now we're going to go ahead and add some pipe work here. Connect all our waste. So zooming in to our fixture by clicking that little plus sign turns our elbow into a T. I like to use the thin lines command. So by the way, that short key is TL for thin lines. Allows us to be able to see double line pipe a lot easier. So I'm drawing a pipe here, and I hit the space bar first to get the right elevation for it. I'm going to add a slope, 1/8 slope, and what we're going to do is go ahead and just draw this up to the middle between all three and put an offset of 2 feet 6 inches. We're going to hit apply, and in hitting apply, this will actually put a riser in there for us. There we go. So we're just going to take that over there, and we're going to add a pipe fitting that will allow us to connect those a little proper. In the 3D view, we're going to zoom into that, and you notice how I did that. I simply, oops, oh boy. Simply selecting that pipe allowed me to do that pretty quick. Let me see. Now the video started over. 1 second, bear with me. I'm going to start this video manually. This way we can actually move it forward. Okay, so by adding that, oops, here we go. There it is. So by doing that, by selecting the pipe and clicking on any triangle on the cube, I'm able to actually just move around that particular center point, so that allows me to maneuver a lot faster. Now that we are here, we're going to go ahead and add a pipe fitting to our pipe. To do this, it's easier to do it in the 3D view sometimes, so we're going to do that. We're going to add this Y fitting 45-degree elbow right here. Now you notice that it placed it upside down, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in there and actually select that fitting. And using the rotate tools and flip tools, we're going to be able to get that to the proper position that we want. Here we go. So now we got it lined up. So what we're going to do is try to add some more piping to this and continue with this. Now to do that better, we're going to go to our section view, and in our section view we're going to zoom in there, and using the same techniques of right clicking on a connector and draw a pipe coming at a 45-degree angle, and we're just going to stick out there for about a foot or so, and then come across aligning with the fixture and having a slope of 1/8. Do the same thing to the other side, come across and lining it up with the other pipe, and then coming to the other fixture and lining it up with the center of that as well. Just look for the hidden line, and we pan a little bit better. There it is. And notice that the pipes are sloped because we've been modeling with the slope pipe. Now that we did that, what we want to do is just have some stubs coming from the sinks, and to do that we're going to move this stub pipe just down to allow us access to that sink. And I'm going to draw a pipe from the connector of there. I'm going to hit this, actually no, that better select that. And by the way, the reason why I have to window this fixture is because there's actually a wall in the way in this view, and I can't literally click on it. So if you ever are working in a section like this, you'll notice that you can't really click on objects, is because there's a wall in the way. So you may want to use the window approach like I just did. So starting with the connector, I'm going to just allow that to come down about 6 inches. Do the same thing with the other lavatories. I'm going to window selected so I can see the connector, right click on the connector, draw pipe, hit the space bar to start from the connector, and then come down 6 inches. So I'm typing 6 enter. You can't see the 6 enter for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but that is what I'm doing. So right click on it, draw pipe, hit the space bar to start from the connector, holding it straight down 6 inches, enter, and I get the pipe right there. So now we have these in the section view. Let's go ahead and close that because we don't need that anymore. We're going to go ahead and add that P-trap that we loaded into our project. So we're going to go to our pipe fittings. From type selector, of course, we're going to select our P-trap. And we're just going to put it right at the connection point of that pipe. And as you can see in our 3D view here, it actually snaps right into the end point of that pipe. There we go. So what we want to do is once again rotate these because they're not in our proper space location. So we're using the rotate, allows us to just bring them to the point where we want them to face our pipe. And like I said, there are things that you want to do in 3D views, and there are things that you want to do in your section or floor plans. So this is definitely a lot easier in your 3D view. And as you notice, this 3D view actually has everything turned off except for our piping elements, so that it makes it easier for me to actually move around and grab things. So now that we have our everything here and ready to go, let's use some faster tools to connect these things. To do that, we're going to just select these fittings, and a very powerful tool, one of my favorite, is Connect Into. So when you click on that, you just have to pick on a pipe, and that pipe will automatically route that to it. So click on Edit Family. Oops, sorry, not that. Cancel. Going to connect into that. And same thing here, we're going to go ahead and connect into and select the pipe. Now that we have this done, let's look and see, did we actually slope this pipe though? That's the question. So I'm going to select the pipe, and on the cube, I'm going to focus in on that, and you can see that it's not sloped. So we're going to want to slope that pipe. To do that, we're going to use this tool here by selecting first the pipe that we want to slope. There's the slope option, and we can change it to whatever we want, but 1/8 is what we need. And notice we got a little warning here saying that the slope is not going to work because we don't have enough room for the fittings, essentially is what it's telling us. So we really need to change that. So let's see that again. So it's 1/8. Yep, I got the right slope. It is going down. Sure enough, it's not working. So some of you have had this frustration. Like, okay, yep, the slope didn't happen. So to do, what we need to do is actually move our pipes lower. As you can see right here, we barely have enough room for this. So we're going to have to go ahead and move these pipes down. We're going to do that in a second. Yes. So now we're going to select these pipes. Go to our front view here. And all this can be done in the 3D view or the section view as far as relocating these pipes. And I'm holding down Control and selecting all these objects, and then click and then moving using the move command. And I'm just going to move them a little bit. There we go. And I always select something and then use the cube, because then it focuses on that and not zoom out all the way for me. Now let's try this again. 1/8 slope. Let's go ahead. There you go. Now it worked. Slope 1/8. Finish. Quickly run through that. So remember, if you don't have enough room for your slope pipe to actually put in the fittings, it's not going to work. That's the #1 frustration with these, is that we don't have enough room sometimes. So there it is. Now it's all nice and slow for us. So now that we have added the sinks and the piping and added them to our system, let's go ahead and create our cold water system now. So to do that, we're going to select all the fixtures in our project here except for the floor drain. We're going to filter once again and check none. Moving too fast through this, you don't want to select the wrong thing, not spaces but plumbing fixtures. Okay. So now that we have just those, the options available are going to be to create a domestic cold water. Click on that, and then we're going to edit system once again and give it a proper name. Domestic cold water 107, and hit finish. Now that we have our system, we can go ahead and connect into this main pipe that's been pre-drawn for us. It would have taken us way too long to do every step here, so we're going fast here. Selecting the fixture, we're just using the connect into once again. As you can see, it's pretty quick and easy. Now this works great for the water closets, but for the urinal, we're going to want to do something different here. So we're going to do some manual connection here. So we're going to do this with the pipe, and selecting the pipe and making sure that we change the different type of pipe that we're using here. So right now it's sanitary, but we want the water pipe because it's a water system. Change our diameter to the size that we want, 3/4 inch. And our offset, we're going to set the offset to 10 feet, which is the elevation of that pipe that we want to connect into. And you notice our slope is at 0. So click on an intersection of that and start from there, and then enter a offset to go to and connect to the fixture. Now sometimes it doesn't work perfectly. That's what this is all about. So instead of me trying to connect that pipe in there and try to draw a pipe and frustrate myself, I'm just going to undo, start again. I know I want to start at 10 feet from that pipe, change the offset to 4 feet, and try to connect into that urinal once again. And this time it did what I wanted, to start at 10 feet, come down to 4, and then connect into the urinal. And there it is. So now for the cold water pipes for our lavs, selecting the lavatory, and from the connector right click, using the right piping, which is the water piping, the right size, 1 inch, which I think is overkill, but we'll go with it. And I'm hitting the space bar to align with the connector elevation, which is 2 feet 8 inches. Oops, oh boy. I accidentally typed in 6.4. Here we go. Hit escape on that, modify. There we go. Let's start all over. So right click, drop pipe. We got the right settings, right elevation. Okay. And we're going to just draw this out about 7 inches. 7, enter, and we're out there. Now for our offset, we're going to go ahead and put that an offset of 4 feet. And we're going to come across all the way past the last lav and hover over the main pipe and click when you see the intersection, and automatically puts in a riser for us to connect into that pipe, just like that. Using our favorite tool, we're going to select our lavs and use the connect into tool. We're going to select the cold water pipe to connect into and select the pipe that we want to connect into. Just like that, we got our pipe connected into it. Selecting the lab again and clicking on the pipe, domestic cold water. There we go. So now we have our pipes connected here. Let's take a look really quick in our 3D view. Looks like we have everything there. Looks pretty good. So now that we've created our cold water system, let's go ahead and add our hot water system to the system. To do that, we're going to select our lavs only, and we're going to create a hot water system for those. Now that we have them selected, we're going to edit that, and let's also identify this system by its proper name as well. One thing that we want to do is add an equipment, and we're going to add our hot water heater here, which is InstaHot, and we're just going to put it in the room next to it. And as you can see, we have connectors here that we want to connect into, and we're going to tap into the cold water of that. So by starting from the connector, we're going to define an elevation that we want it to go to from the connector, and a 1 inch pipe diameter to start from. offset at 4 feet. Gonna come out just about 2.5 feet. And then we're going to come across and run to 10 feet and connect into our main cold water line. There we go. Click on modify to get back out of this, and we're going to, well, let's look at that pipe in 3D a little bit better. Yep, it's just sticking out there in nowhere. In the 3D view, we actually filtered out mechanical equipment, so that's why we don't see the water heater. And now we're going to go ahead and add our pipe for the hot water to connect and bring it over to our fixtures. We're going to also start with the 1 inch and set an elevation of 4 feet 6 inches and come across down. And we are going to go ahead and come across to the other side. There it is. Now we can see the dimensions. 1/6. That looks a little short to me. We want to undo that. Let's, oh, I accidentally ran that, oh boy. I'm going to run that a little too high. I'm going to make a big mistake here. Oh, look at that. I'm going to go ahead and undo that pipe. Let's start all over again from the connector of the remaining pipe. Better make the right offset there. 2 feet, excellent. 2 feet 6. And going to come across between those pipes as well. We're going to come down close to the last sink, and once again using our favorite tool, connect into, selecting the fixture and selecting the right pipe. And notice that the menu didn't pop up as to which connector we want. Well, we have all the connectors already connected except for the hot water, so Revit thinks that that's the one that we want to use. So we're going to do that for all 3 fixtures here. There we go. So now we connected all of our fixtures together with piping. I know the vent is still to be added. We're going to have to do that later in a class or something, but right now I think more importantly we're going to show you how to add these views to our sheet. Looking at the 3D view looks pretty good. Excellent. So we create the hot water system also with the equipment, and we're ready to go. Now for the harder part, to bring in the actual views and deal with the actual production of this work, let's go this, and we're going to do this live. So here's our project with all our pipes, and one of the things that I think that a lot of people have frustration with is just the fact that when you're doing plumbing drawings like this, you're actually drawing real world connectors and locate the pipe where it's supposed to be. Well, if you were to print this out, it's a little too busy, it's hard to tell what it is. Even if you change your settings from a double line to a coarse quality to be able to actually see this in single line representation. So notice that there's this gray solid fill there even in single line, so we want to go to hidden mode, and now we can see just those right there. But for a lot of people this is still a little too busy. At least for my taste, I like to have clarity in our plumbing drawings. So what I recommend doing is, because we're using Revit, and for us to actually create a view that better defines exactly what we have in our project, we can create quick callouts or partial plans. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and select the tool here from our View tab, from our ribbon. Let's click on the callout, and we just click here where we want to start with our plumbing layout. So click in the left corner, and then another click to finish the bottom portion of this callout. This is essentially a partial plan, and you notice that it created a partial plan view right within our plumbing design category of views. And what we're going to do is go ahead and double click on this. Anytime you see a blue call out like this or a section bubble, we can double click on that and it takes us directly to that view. So now that we're in here, the fittings look a little bit better, clearer to see. The pipes are not so tight together. But I still want to have this better defined as far as the way that I want a diagrammatical representation of my work. So to do that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and apply a view template to this. So I already have a preset in my template, a view template, the way that I like my plumbing, my documentation plumbing view to look like. So I'm going to select that from my template. So once again, I just right clicked on the view, apply view template, and this view template that I created in my Revit MEP template. I'm going to select that. And now what I've done is actually automatically given the pipes the right type of line work and the scale factor also, which I would like it to have it at 1/2 inch scale factor. This allows me to put in the proper tags and such. Now that we have all our pipes looking the way we would like, at least as close as we can for now without editing the fixtures, we can go ahead and tag some of these things. To tag, we go to our either home, annotate tab, and click on tag by category, and we're just going to go ahead and tag these labs. And the reason I can actually tag these so quickly is because I have a fixture tag, plumbing fixture tag in my project, and I've already assigned a type mark for those fixtures. Now that I have my fixtures tagged, what I want to do is go ahead and tag our piping. Using the same tag, because it's tagged by category, anything I select it's going to be tagged. Now notice that I have a leader here, but I don't want a leader. I want to put these tags in my actual pipes. So to do that, in my option bar, I'm going to go ahead and deselect that leader checkbox. And using my space bar, I can flip between horizontal or vertical text for this text. So I can go ahead and add that in there. Now you notice I'm trying to tag the waistline here, and as much as I want to click on it, I just can't get to it. And the reason why is because right now this view is using a hidden line mode. And hidden means that anything below the floor is going to actually not allow me to even select it. So I'm going to change to wireframe. And now that I'm in wireframe, I can actually select pipes that are below the floor. So I can go ahead and select my waist and tag all of these pipes that I want to here. If you accidentally place the tag the wrong direction, you just select it, hit the space bar, and it rotates to the direction that you want it to be. So the short key also for tag is TG, if you didn't know that. I always use short keys and it gets me in trouble because people are like, what did you do? I'm hitting space bar and just clicking on the pipe. Space, click on the pipe. Now that I'm done tagging some of the mains here, I'm going to switch back to my hidden frame because, As you can tell, some of these drops and risers, they just don't come out very clear in wireframe mode. So we're going to go into hidden line, and that's a little bit clearer. We can see what's going on there as far as drops and such. So now that we defined our partial plan, we added some tags here. Let's go ahead and create a sheet for this. And to do that, we're going to right click on our sheets and click on new sheet. And this is the default title block that just is in our project. If you are using an architectural model in your project, you'll most likely have the architect's title block in there. Here's our sheet, and what we're going to do is click and hold on from our project browser, click and hold the view, the partial plan, and drag it over to our sheet. And once I drag that in here, it's just free floating for me to be able to just click and place it into the right location. Looks like everything came across pretty nicely. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this partial plan is clearer, but I still can't tell exactly what's going on. Because we're using Revit, we can do things a lot faster. For instance, we can create our sections a lot quicker, and we can actually drop a section in our project a lot faster. So to do that, I'm going to select this section right here. It's the section that's coming across from our plumbing chase right here. So you notice it was got assigned to our sheet. The callout is updated, of course. And now we have a section that's telling the full story of where these pipes are located. If I want to, I can also go to our section here. And if you want to be really specific and make it easier on the folks doing this, we can tag, of course, all of these pipes. Notice once again this pipe I can't get to because it's on the other side. So let's go to a wireframe, and now I can tag it. Whoop. There we go. So the scale factor for this one's a little bit too small probably, so I can easily bump this up maybe to 1/4 inch. Now the text is a little bit better for me. And I can change back to my hidden line so I don't see the center line of the pipe, unless you'd like that. And now we can see some of the pipes and where they're located. The other thing we can do is, if we have the right tag in our project, we can actually define for the pipes. Let's see here. So I don't have this tag in here. Can load into my project, so I'm going to go to Insert, Load Family, and we're going to load another pipe tag that gives me the pipe elevation. So loading that into the project, now I will have that available for me to use. So I can actually tag these pipes, and I'm going to use a leader this time. Say that this pipe is at this elevation, this elevation, and this elevation, to help the contractor a little bit with this work. So this is level of detail that maybe not a lot of people can or want to go to, but we have the option and ability to do that, so it's pretty cool. So now that we have these two sections here, let's go back to our sheet. So notice that my section, because I changed the scale factor, is like way smaller here. So if I want to change that back to make it a little more balanced on the sheet, I would say, I can always just bump this back up, selecting the view, right clicking on it and saying activate the view. Now I'm actually working in the view, but in the sheet, just like working in paper space through the view type of scenario, like in AutoCAD, if you would. And here what I can do is go ahead and change the scale factor, and it'll actually affect the view. So I can bump it back up to a half an inch, and that looks a lot better. My tags are kind of small, I gotta give you that, but we can see the story a little bit better. And then to deactivate the view, all I have to do is just right click and deactivate the view. So here we go, we have our sheet with our views in here, our fixtures tagged, and our piping tagged. If you want to get fancy, you can definitely add additional tags showing you the fixture unit counts and such. We can show you that in another webcast. So we were able to create our views and sheet for our work, tag all of our pipes and fixtures, and add them to our sheet. And there we have it. So that, I hope that was beneficial to you guys. It was a lot of fun for me to prepare this. Here are some upcoming events that we have going on at the PPI group. We have some Revit MEP training that's going to happen in the next months, September and October, and some free events that you may be already aware of the Revit users group in Portland and Seattle that are happening. Also, we have additional information at our website. So feel free to contact us and let us know if you have any trouble or need any help. So now that we are done with our presentation, we have some time open for Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody, and if you have any questions, go ahead and speak up. Hello, hello, everybody, can you hear me okay? Excellent. Any questions? How would I connect into that? I would, using Y45s also, and flipping that over, and connect the same way I connected the sinks together. Use the same method. Does that answer your question? Oh, the space bar, yes. So I'm sorry I rushed through that. Anytime you start from a connector or a pipe, which is always going to be a connector, if you hit the space bar, it automatically adjusts to the pipe elevation and pipe size that you're starting from, or the connector size and location. And that just allows you to just have a good starting point instead of the starting point that the option bar specifies for you. No, so let me show you that in Revit really quick here. Thank you for asking. That's a very good question. Let's go back to my floor plan here. And let me go to double line, makes it a little bit easier for me. I have a pipe end cap here. Let me get rid of that so I can get a connector. So I right click on the connector. I first of all select the pipe because we have to be able to see the connector. Then I right click on the pipe, say draw pipe, and at this point the elevation is 10 feet, but let's say it was some other elevation. If I hit space bar, it automatically grabs the diameter of the pipe that I'm starting from, the elevation, and now I'm ready to go. So all I've done is just started from there and hit space bar. Now I move my cursor to where I want my pipe to be and then left click down to place it into place. Does that make sense? You're very welcome. And the space bar works the same for equipment. If I want to flip equipment around, like this sink right here, I'm probably going to mess things up. If it has, actually that sink is a bad example, but any type of equipment or whatnot that's not attached to a wall will actually rotate and whatnot for us. So, and the tags of course rotate as well if you hit the space bar after selecting it. Any other questions? No more questions? So was that useful for you guys? Did you guys enjoy that? Sorry that the videos were a lot quicker, and I was trying to compact all the work that we have to do into a 90-minute presentation, so I apologize for that. Yes, okay. Are you referring to the vent? Yes, okay. I didn't hear the vent part. I apologize. Yes, definitely. And we usually cover that and starting to do that more in our classes with the 2010 and such. Gonna start actually posting some YouTube videos pretty soon, and we'll send out an email blast about that, showing you some of these steps and such. Well, all right then. If there's no more questions, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did you have a question? Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, we're gonna just go ahead and end the webcast. This webcast is being recorded, and we'll post it on our FTP site or on our website, that is, and it'll be available for you to view it again with slower pace and whatnot. So if you have any other questions, please contact us. We'll be glad to give you guys a hand and walk you through this process. Thanks again, guys, for joining our webcast. Have a great afternoon and stay cool. Thank you.